I'm Kevin Coleman with Football Guys, and we are back on the channel to discuss Dynasty strategies. 2 weeks ago, we looked at targets that you could go grab as kind of a buy low. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out on the channel. And today, we're going to be diving into Dynasty sells. Like, what are some guys out there that you can sell to get a good return on? Where is that in context of your team, your rosters, looking at trades? We're going to be looking at the keep trade cut value, all of the above on 4 guys that you need to be selling in your Dynasty leagues. All right. Now, before we jump into the guys and the assets and the way we're going to look at it and all that, I think we need to put in context of what Dynasty sells means. Now, because I think in this space and fantasy in general, usually we see articles and videos, Dynasty sell, here's a guy, that's why. Like, there's no context around it. So where are you? So first thing you need to do is you need to figure out where you're at as your roster. So are you rebuilding? Are you kind of burn it down to the ground type of rebuild? So in that instance, burn it down to the ground means trading as many assets you can for as many either young assets or picks, right? And you're trying to dictate, okay, how does that really work? Or you're on the fly rebuild where you're just trying to plug and play, get a little younger at some positions, get and go after it and go still try to win the league, just have like a mini rebuild, right? There's 2 very different areas of where that works. So when you're looking at it from the perspective of burn it to the ground and getting assets, try to, and I think it's important to try to like minimize the risk. So don't just buy picks in the 23 class. Spread it out. Like, if you believe in the league is long-term, when you're burning things to the ground, get picks in the 23 class, get picks in the 24 class, know where the value's at, right? Even the 25 class. Like, you want to minimize the risk of just grabbing multiple picks in the same draft class, because the hit rate is just gonna go down for every pick that you make in that class. You're gonna miss some. People miss some all the time. So if you sell all of your assets for one class, you're gonna really leave yourself in a hole if you miss on multiple draft picks. And then the other one on the fly is where you can kind of churn and rebuild your roster through little micro moves and go down and not necessarily just get assets and picks. Go get real assets, real players down there that maybe just haven't broken out, right? But the number one thing you got to do is understand your league mates. So, hey, who goes and buys vets? Who's that league mate that likes to go buy vets? And then attack them first. Know where that's at, right? Then, hey, who sells future picks? Who doesn't care about picks? You should have this in a spreadsheet and written down. Like, hey, this guy loves future picks. This guy hates his picks. This guy looks for older roster Dynasty players to kind of plug and play. You got to know that. You got to know who plays fair value. You need to know who negotiates, who responds quickly. Like, all these things matter. Like, when you're trying to rebuild or even trying to just sell off targets. Like, it's more than just here's Tyreek Hill, here's a sell, right? There's so much more that goes into this that you have to do in Dynasty. And this is why having a minimum amount of leagues is good, because you can really dive into where it's at. Now, I think the number one thing when you're looking at just in terms of just strategies and where you're at, I think shrinking window assets are the big ones. So shout out here to just understanding like, hey, assets for picks or players that's going to pay for 2 to 3 years out, right? So really where I focus on is moving running backs because of their volatile. They have limited shelf life. They have that 2 to 3 year rebuild. And there's a lot of guys out there that love buying running backs where I look for all my Dynasty rosters of trying to get rid of some of the running backs out there. Like, in terms of like, I think they're volatile assets. So if there's guys I have questions about, I don't mind selling them, whether or not like some people are very high on them. So let's get into our first guy, and that's Rhamondre Stevenson. And right there, you'll see running back 11 is where he's valued on keep trade cut right now. But I want everyone to know, I think Rhamondre is a very, very good football player, but I think his ceiling is that running back 11. So when I'm looking at assets and I'm looking at like, who can I kind of move in that volatile window of that 2 to 3 year rebuild, or guys that I can kind of collect right now, I think that's where I'm at. So with Rhamondre, hey, the Patriots, they are very fickle when it comes to that running back room. Like, when you're just going through like their leading rushers, they're all over the place. We've seen Sony Michel be there, Damian Harris, LeGarrette Blount. We've seen those guys there. Now, Rhamondre does have pass catching ability, so that could break the trend of like just multiple running backs kind of getting the run there. But I see Pierre Strong Jr. being there as a kind of a guy that is going to have that asset that can kind of catch passes out of the backfield. And it could limit Rhamondre's kind of upside there. We've seen him get a little bit dinged up when you're talking about where that's going to be. The other reason for selling him, hey, there's a 2-year window, in my opinion, with Rhamondre. And I think right now, going into this offseason is where the value is had for him. Like, where he's getting valued is probably not where he's going to be next year. I don't see him getting in that top 5 category. I see him a little bit lower this right now. Like, in terms of my Dynasty rankings, you could check him out at Football Guys. I think I have him at 11 or 12, but I do think that I would sell him for a couple guys under there that are better values, in my opinion. Another one, you just sell hype running backs. You just go out there and sell these guys, and you look for it. Now, in terms of where he's at right now, in terms of his value, when you're looking at just in general in the running back space, guys going after him, then I'm like, I would probably sell for that. So if you look in here, and again, like I said, he's running back 10, 11, depending on where you're looking or when you're looking. Like a guy like Nick Chubb, if I'm like on that on the fly rebuild, I'm not that guy that's going after like that dynasty assets and stuff. Like, hey, maybe I can get Nick Chubb plus something. Nick Chubb is getting valued at running back 13. Maybe I can get a draft pick in there, like a second or a third, something that I can take a flyer on and then get the value of Chubb, right? Or hey, go down the list. J.K. Dobbins right now is getting valued at running back 16. We've seen him come back from his injury. We've seen that offense look good with him, and he's going to get the volume. Maybe you take a shot on J.K., you believe in his upside, his ceiling, and then get another asset, right? All these guys are guys that I would target in terms of getting another asset with, right? That's where you're looking for in terms of that area. Now, as far as like recent trades going down, Rachaad White, Rashad Bateman for Rhamondre Stevenson. Now, that's a little tougher, but I don't mind White as that running back. But in that case, when that deal, I would want at least a second or a third back, something a little bit more solid. We've seen White do okay. We've seen Bateman not really do. Like, we haven't seen a breakout yet from him with Rhamondre, so I want a better asset there, but at least get a draft pick. But the one that I thought I really liked was Rhamondre Stevenson and Godwin for 223 first, a 24 first. Like, and that's, hey, you're getting 3 first. You're going and making sure that you're not just getting the same draft class and you're getting Rhamondre Stevenson for that value, right? That's kind of where I'm looking at with that. I think Rhamondre to me is kind of that sell. And even if you're looking around like where Rhamondre is going in terms of the wide receivers too, like there are some legitimate wide receivers in that area that you could go grab. Ayuk is out there. Maybe you like him. Maybe you're a Jahan Dotson guy. I really like Jahan Dotson. Marquise Brown. Like you're looking for guys that you can go grab plus something, right? And if you're okay at that running back position, and I'm okay with just having 1 or 2, I really like that anchor running back strategy. Rhamondre would be a guy that I'm looking to move. Now, another running back that I think is a good move right now is Dalvin Cook. Now, everybody's going to say, of course, Dalvin Cook is because of his age. But again, when I'm trying to give you guys advice, it's not just cookie cutter like, hey, not everybody plays in these dynasty leagues like this. Like Dalvin Cook is kind of going down there. He's, Cook is a top 10 running back in PPR formats, but he finished 7 contests outside the top 24 as his production kind of took a hit. We saw Kevin O'Connell's offense. They became the second heaviest pass offense in the NFL. So the Vikings have run the ball just 34% of their offensive plays this last year. So we saw a dip in his production partly because of the offensive system. And I think there's another thing too. He's going to be 28 years old when he comes week 1. But I think there is an opt-out in his contract this year. And there are some rumors that they're rumored to take Bijan Robinson if he fell to them, or one of these running backs in this draft class. So if you trade him now, even at running back 19, you're still getting probably value. If they do draft a running back or he gets cut and he doesn't find himself in a good spot, you could be looking at a big value dip on Dalvin Cook, right? So when I'm just looking at that, I still think that he has value in the next 1 or 2 years. And this is where knowing your league mates, knowing if they like buying these assets is something to hold your hat to and go and say, hey, do you want Dalvin Cook? I thought a couple of trades. I think Alvin Kamara is a good trade target. So if you're looking for like an older running back that you think could have some upside there, I like Kamara, man. Kamara right now is getting valued around that same area. But if you can get a pass catching back, one that maybe has longstanding value in a league where Dalvin Cook may not, I like Kamara as like that older guy. Or hey, I've seen a trade where Dalvin Cook got straight up traded for Najee Harris. So that's kind of that mini rebuild where, hey, you believe in Najee, you think he can be a running back too, and he's going to last for maybe 2 to 3 more years, where Dalvin Cook, you're kind of concerned about that window, right? That age gap. Those are little deals there. And I'm trying to give you deals that could happen, right? Obviously, you're not trading Dalvin Cook for like, a top 5 guy. But right now, at running back 19, there are some ways kind of maneuver that market and get guys at that market value. I think that's a possibility. So Dalvin Cook is a guy that I would definitely do. I know Deontay Johnson's out there. We're getting valued around him. If you get Deontay plus something, maybe Cam Akers, you believe in that Cam Akers and that injury coming back for it. So look for Dalvin Cook as that target there. Next guy, I want to go receiver here. I'm going to say Tyreek Hill, and I know he's kind of a hot topic right now in terms of being a sell or a buy. But hey, he had a great season with Miami. 119 passes, 1,700 yards, 7 touchdowns. We saw that. He looked really good. These question marks with Tua going into it, right? So what is Tua going forward? Is he going to come back? Is he going to retire? But you're looking at him. He's finished as a top 2 PPR receiver in 3 of the last 5 years. So Tyreek Hill has held his value. Now, when we're looking at overall, though, he's still playing with Waddle. He's going to turn 29 years old in March. So when you're looking at that, This is when you start you dreading that 30-year mark, right? So you're like, okay, where is Tyreek Hill? So if you're looking to kind of get younger at the position, for me, I think this is the time to kind of get involved and try to get him off of your roster, right? If you can do this, so here are some trade targets I have for you out there. Now, again, targets are all subjective based on league, but I can give you some ideas. I would love to figure out a way to get Devonta Smith, right? So if you can get Devonta Smith, because when you look at Devonta, and it's not like out there that you can't get Devonta for Tyreek Hill. Like some will say, oh, of course, you're not gonna be able to do that. Devonta's still a wide receiver 2 in that offense behind A.J. Brown. Like there's some ways to maneuver that. He's getting evaluated as wide receiver 12 right now. So there's still a possibility, or 13. There's a possibility you can get in there and try to kind of sneak in there. Maybe it wouldn't be like a really good get, but if you can get Devonta, a younger asset, be with Hurts, kind of that there could be the wide receiver 1 if A.J. Brown moves on into a few years, right? So you're looking for that. You probably get something back. Drake London's another one. There's question marks about that. He's wide receiver 14 right now, right? So if there's a team out there with maybe one of these younger wide receivers, Jameson Williams, that did not do very well, and those guys did not produce well enough for their team because they're like a contender, go give them Tyreek Hill. This is the time to get out of that deal, right? Another one would be like Kyle Pitts. Could you get Kyle Pitts there? I think where Kyle Pitts is getting valued right now, there's a way to kind of move your way in there and grab a Kyle Pitts. And I do think that it's possible, right? So when you're looking at just overall, I think it's possible to get Pitts for Tyreek Hill and some type of deal. Some trades that recently went on, like for Cooper Kupp as well. I think Cooper's out there. So Tyreek Hill got traded recently for Amon-Ra in a third. So if you believe Amon-Ra can be that lasting top 12 guy and you get a third round pick, that is another option to go out there and get. And another one, Tyreek Hill in a second, 23 second for Cooper Kupp and a 24 first. Love that deal because Cooper and Tyreek are pretty much interchangeable in terms of value to me, like just where they're at. And then, but you get a first back for that. Give me the first over the second, especially in the 24 class. If you guys don't watch the college stuff that we do and the Devy stuff that I do here for Football Guys, the 24 class probably has the top quarterback out of these two classes in Caleb Williams. They have Drake May. We're talking about Raheem Sanders, Will Shipley, Travion Henderson. We're talking about really solid running backs, right? Then a wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. is out there. You're looking at kind of the other running backs in there, Xavier Worthy. We're talking Emeka Ibuka. And then you have Brock Bowers. Like we're talking legit 11 or 12 assets in there. So if you can get that first with Cooper Kupp, that's the value to be had if you can give it Tyreek Hill. We're not just saying sell for the Garrett Wilsons of the world. We're talking about how to improve your team. Now, last guy before we get out of here, TJ Hockenson is tied in 4 right now. I think we know he's been playing very well. So he had his best season to date, 86 passes, 914 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was a target machine. So you saw that with Vikings and that high volume passing offense. He is the clear second target getter right now behind Justin Jefferson. But will they adapt? Will they go? They're getting mocked wide receivers right now. I think they want to add to that offense, especially with how their season ended, and they need a playmaker. They need someone better than Adam Thielen and Osborne. As good as they've been, I think they're going to go kind of try to grab those guys. Now, I do think that he highlights that offensive position, but I think this is a market right now to get rid of TJ Hockenson off your dynasty rosters, because I do think he's kind of getting overvalued a little bit, to be quite honest with you. So when you're looking at just what he can do, where are you going to sell for cheap? Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to sell him for cheap, obviously, but I would look for like a strong wide receiver 2 option, like not necessarily tied in the tight end. If you can go get Pitts, you could, but I don't think you can. I don't think that's an ability right now with how much the dynasty community values Pitts. But like, as far as this, if you're okay, let's say you have Ingram on your roster, or let's say you have a second tight end, Bellinger from New York Giants, that you feel like, hey, they're interchangeable. If you need help at any other position, like a wide receiver 2 like there, or a 23 first or something, if it's tight end premium, I think Hockenson is a good guy to get off your roster right now. But I will say, in a recent deal, which shocks me, he did go for Kyle Pitts. So TJ in a third for Kyle Pitts. I get that Kyle Pitts hasn't produced what we wanted to see, but if you could trade Hockenson in a third, and a third really doesn't matter to me, for Kyle Pitts, and you like that value and you like it there, that is where I would go, and I think that's a fun little deal if you can do it. But other than that, strong dynasty wide receiver 2 would be maybe the way to go. So I hope this helps. I hope that, like, when we're talking strategy and dynasty sells, like, people aren't just making content for you out there to say, hey, sell this guy, and not giving you context. So I hope the context helped. Again, drop it in the comments. Let us know. I like to go into comments. You tell me a trade that you're thinking about or doing, or you can find me there. There's my @score. If you're on Twitter, you can find me, follow me, DM me. My DMs are always open, especially for Football Guys subscribers. I am here to help you with your dynasty outlook. I appreciate you guys. Those are the guys that you should be trying to sell. I gave you guys value, targets, actionable kind of advice there. I appreciate you guys.